Have you ever walked away from a conversation, heart pounding, wondering what just happened? Like somehow you were the problem, again, and you're not even sure how they got turned around? Maybe you were just trying to express a boundary. Or you asked for something simple, like time. And suddenly, you were too much. Too sensitive. Hard to love. If you've ever felt like you were shrinking yourself just to keep the peace, this conversation is for you. Because sometimes, the person hurting us isn't yelling. They're smiling. They're calling us sweetheart while twisting the knife. And yes, sometimes that person is another woman. Maybe a romantic partner. Maybe a grown daughter. Maybe a coworker you trusted, or a friend you've known for decades. We don't talk about this enough. How painful it is when the manipulation doesn't come from a man, but from another woman who says all the right things while doing all the wrong ones. So let's talk. Let's talk about what to look out for. Not to judge anyone, but to protect your peace. Because if a woman says these things to you, consistently, calmly, and with a straight face, you may need to walk away, even if it breaks your heart. Let's start here. You're in a conversation, maybe trying to explain how something made you feel. And she says, asterisk, that's not what happened. You always remember things wrong. Asterisk. Let that settle. Not asterisk, I didn't mean it that way. Asterisk. Not asterisk, let's talk about it. Asterisk. But a full rewrite of reality, your reality. This is gaslighting, plain and simple. And when it comes from someone close, it's disorienting. You start second-guessing yourself. You feel small. Off balance. Confused. Like maybe you are the one who keeps getting things wrong. You're not. You remember because you were there. Your feelings matter. Your memory matters. And when someone flat out denies your lived experience like that, that's not love. That's control. You don't have to fight her on it. You don't need to prove anything. Next time, try this. Take a breath and say gently, asterisk, we remember it differently. But that's how it felt to me. Asterisk. Then step back. You just told the truth without arguing. And you'll know, in that moment, whether this woman respects you or needs you confused. And here's another one. She tells you, asterisk, you're so lucky I put up with you. Asterisk. Now, this might be said with a chuckle. Maybe over dinner. Maybe after you've had a vulnerable moment. And it stings, but you laugh it off. Don't. That line? It's a power play. It's not kindness. It's not teasing. It's a reminder, you should be grateful she's still here. That somehow, your presence in her life is a burden she bears. Let me be very clear. No one who values you will ever try to make you feel like a charity case. You are not a burden. You are not lucky to be tolerated. You are worthy of love and respect, without groveling for it. And if someone keeps reminding you how patient or generous they are to put up with you, that's not grace. That's ego. If this happens, pause. You don't need to apologize. Try this. Asterisk, that feels unkind. Is that how you see me? Asterisk. Just like that, you hold up a mirror. And if she brushes it off, makes another joke, rolls her eyes, she's telling you who she is. Let's do one more today. She says, asterisk, I'm only telling you this because I care. Asterisk. And then, she tears you apart. It might be about how you dress, how you speak, how you parent, how you live your life. And somehow, it's always for your own good. You know the type. Every comment feels like a pinprick. But when you flinch, she tells you you're overreacting. That she's just being honest. That someone has to tell you the truth. No. No, they don't. There's a difference between honesty and cruelty. between care and control. When someone truly cares, the truth comes wrapped in compassion, not barbed wire. And listen, you've lived long enough to know when something's off. Even if the words sound sweet. If it feels like criticism dressed up as concern, it probably is. You don't have to explain your choices or justify your joy. You can simply say, I know you may mean well, but that doesn't feel supportive. You've just honored yourself. And that matters more than keeping the peace. Because here's the truth, my friend. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. You're not too sensitive. You're not imagining it. You're just finally listening to the quiet wisdom inside you that says, this isn't love. And I deserve better, Let's keep talking about this. Because your peace is precious. And it's not too late to protect it. We'll go a little deeper next time. When you're ready. You're not alone. So let's pick up where we left off. Maybe your heart is already stirring with memories. Moments you brushed off. Words you swallowed. Because part of you didn't want to believe it, or you loved her too much to name it. That's okay. Healing doesn't always start with answers. It often starts with finally admitting that something felt wrong. Let's talk about another thing some women say. And it might sound innocent at first. She says, I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. And just like that, the moment is gone. You were trying to talk about how she left you out. Or made a hurtful comment in front of others. Or flipped on you during a family gathering. But she doesn't remember it. You might hear it with a little laugh. Or with a straight face and narrowed eyes. Either way, what just happened? You started questioning yourself again. Did I dream it? Did I exaggerate? Was it really that bad? Listen closely. When someone makes a habit of not remembering the very things that hurt you, it's not forgetfulness. It's avoidance. Or worse, erasure. You're not crazy for remembering. You're not wrong for bringing it up. And the hardest part? This tactic works especially well if you're the kind of person who tries to see the best in everyone. If you've been conditioned to give second, third, and 13th chances. So what do you do when you hear this? You don't have to fight for a shared memory. You can simply say, it's okay if you don't remember. But I do. And it matters to me. See what happens then. Watch the reaction. Because if someone truly cares, they won't need to remember to care about how you feel. Now, here's another one that hits a nerve, especially for those of us who've been the peacemakers. She says, why are you making such a big deal out of this? You've just spoken up. You finally said, that comment hurt me. Or I felt left out when you didn't invite me. Or I need some space to think. And instead of listening, she minimizes. She calls it drama. She acts like your pain is an overreaction. And in that moment, you might feel embarrassed. Ashamed, even. Like you made a fuss over nothing. But here's the truth. When someone loves you, they lean in. Even if they don't understand right away, they don't mock your pain. They don't shame you for having feelings. What she's really saying is, your discomfort is inconvenient for me. And that's not a relationship. That's control disguised as closeness. You can respond gently, but firmly. Try saying, it might not feel big to you, but it's something I need to talk about. That one line can shift the whole energy. It lets you stay grounded in your truth. You don't have to yell. You don't have to explain everything. You just have to hold your ground. And let's pause here for a moment. Because I know this is a lot. You might be thinking back to conversations with a sister, a daughter, a partner, even a friend you've known since high school. And the hardest part? You still care about them. You might even still love them. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. But love should not leave you feeling smaller, more confused, or constantly apologizing just to be heard. It's okay to want peace, but don't trade your wholeness for someone else's comfort. I want you to breathe here. Really. Just inhale, hold, and release. You are allowed to protect your heart. You are allowed to expect respect. You are allowed to change your mind about who gets access to your time, your energy, and your life. You've spent years putting others first, navigating difficult people with grace, giving them the benefit of the doubt. But now it's your turn. You don't need a dramatic exit. You don't need to justify a single thing. Sometimes you just slowly stop explaining. You stop giving them space to twist your words. You stop asking them to understand what they've shown they won't. You begin choosing silence over conflict, distance over dysfunction, and peace over pleasing. And that's healing. Let's keep walking this road together. There's more to say, more to gently name, more to let go of. You're doing better than you think. And you're not alone. So here we are. If you've made it this far, I want to pause for a moment and say, you're incredibly brave. Because facing emotional manipulation, especially from someone you care about, isn't easy. It's gut-wrenching, confusing. It can shake the foundation of everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and trust. But here's what else it does. It sets the stage for clarity, for freedom, for peace that isn't dependent on someone else's approval. Let's look at one last phrase that should raise every red flag. She says, "You're too sensitive." Let's sit with that. Because that line has cut down more souls than we can count. It's often said with a sigh, a smirk, a shake of the head, as if your feelings are a flaw, as if the problem isn't what she said, but the fact that you felt something at all. Let's be clear. Sensitivity is not weakness. It's awareness. It's empathy. It's the deep capacity to notice subtleties that others miss. To care about how your words and actions affect people. That's not something to apologize for. That's something to honor. So when someone tells you, you're too sensitive, what they're often saying is, I don't want to take responsibility for how I treat you. And when you really hear that for what it is, you start to reclaim your power. Here's how you can respond. I'd rather be sensitive than numb to disrespect. Say it calmly. Say it once. Then watch. Because people who truly care will listen. They'll take a breath. They'll reflect. But people who are committed to control, they'll double down. They'll say you're being dramatic, or too emotional, or playing the victim. And when that happens, your path becomes clearer. Because here's something no one tells you. It's not just okay to walk away. Sometimes, it's the most loving thing you can do. For yourself. For your future. Even for them. Because staying and enabling toxic behavior doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't teach them. And it destroys you. So what does healing look like? It's not always a clean break. Sometimes it's gradual. A slow reclaiming of your time. Your energy. Your voice. It looks like saying no without guilt. Taking space without explanation. Setting boundaries that no longer shift depending on someone else's mood. It feels like breathing deeper. Sleeping better. Laughing again without waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's remembering who you were before the gaslighting. Before the walking on eggshells. Before the am I too much and what did I do wrong? You're not too much. You've just been in places that asked you to be less. But now Now you're choosing to come back to yourself. And maybe that means grieving. Grieving the woman you thought she was. Grieving the friendship, the love, the history. That's okay. You can miss someone and still know they're not good for you. You can love them and leave them. Because love is not a reason to suffer. And loyalty should never cost you your peace. So if you've heard these 5 phrases, that's not what happened. You always remember things wrong. You're so lucky I put up with you. I'm only telling you this because I care. Why are you making such a big deal out of this? You're too sensitive. Then you've been handed your clarity. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And now you get to decide. Not from anger. Not from fear. But from truth. You get to say, I choose peace. I choose honesty. I choose me. And if that means walking away, do it with your head held high. Not because you gave up, but because you finally chose yourself. You've earned that. You deserve that. So here's to the quiet victories, the firm boundaries, the soft but powerful no more. And here's to your healing. Already in motion. Already working. Already making room for the kind of love that never asks you to shrink. Let them call you sensitive. Let them say you changed. Because you did. You finally stopped accepting pain disguised as love. And that's something to celebrate. Keep going. Keep choosing yourself. And never forget. You're not too sensitive. You're finally listening. And that's the beginning of everything.